Alright. So here we have Julius Nyerere, Senior, Junior History Major from you just announced yourself real quick. It's not official. It's not official.
Alright, so where I live or where I was born?
Or where you're from, where you're from right now, where you're originally from and where you live at now.
Alright, so I was born in Tanzania and I now live in Landover, Maryland. So I'm a commuter student here.
Alright, cool. Alright, so you said you were born in Tanzania, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the culture like? What is the culture like in Tanzania?
Well, Tanzania is actually a multi-ethnic country. So you have a lot of, it's kind of like the United States. You have a lot of different groups of people, different ethnicities that have come together and created this society that is Tanzania. Of course, you have the different African ethnic groups, and then you have Indians, who are the largest minority in Tanzania. And then you have the Arabs, and then you have the Chinese. So it's a very multi-ethnic society. And even our culture, like the foods that we eat, the foods that we eat, it's like a mixture of Indian foods, Arabic foods, and African foods all wrapped into one. So, for example, when I'm, like if I meet somebody who's from India or somebody who's from an Arabic country, and I might be able to recognize some of the food that they like or some of the food that they eat, because it's the same food that I grew up eating when I was in Tanzania.
Okay. Now, I'm sure that I know you guys have a single dominant one political party.
Well, it used to be that way.
Okay, so it's multiple now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's a lot of different political parties who we have a party that kind of is dominant in terms of how many members they have. But then we have the other smaller parties who are also involved in politics. Like, for example, my mother, who's also a politician, she's not from the largest party. She's from one of the smaller parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and how is the political structure different from that of the United States?
Well, there we have a system called the parliamentary system, which is based off the British system of politics, except it's not a monarchy. It's still a democracy. You still have the president, but we have the parliament in place of what here would be called the House of Representatives and the Senate. So over there it's the parliament. So you have the MP. MP is like it's an acronym, but it's member of parliament. So if you're a member of parliament, it's the equivalent of a congressman or congresswoman in the United States. And the member of parliament is in charge of, the district or the region that they represent, within the larger political spectrum.
Wow. Okay, so in a way it's not too big of a difference, but it's...
Right, it's not too big of a difference. It's just, that the names are different, basically.
Okay. Now, I know as far as the annual income that comes in, as far as the economy, I think the biggest employment is agriculture. Right? Okay, so what are some of the cash crops there? I know steel is a big, is that what it's kind of known for? Is that the big producer there? Is it corn?
Well, it's more, Tanzania is more known for, steel is one of them, but it's more known for, different minerals.
Okay.
So, you got your diamonds, your golds. We have a tanzanite, which is just, found in Tanzania, basically.
Okay.
you can see in the name.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have the cash crops, which are like coffee.
Coffee, yeah.
It's a big. It's grown in Tanzania. We have sugar is grown in Tanzania also. Just
No, it's big with the British too. The coffee, I know the British.
Yeah.
They take that. Yeah.
And the tea also. The tea is also grown in Tanzania. And also, aside from agriculture, we got tourism, which has helped Tanzania a lot.
Wow.
Because Tanzania has the highest mountain in Africa is located in Tanzania. What we call the Great Lakes region of Africa is located, in and around Tanzania.
Okay.
And the largest migration of all these wild animals in Serengeti National Park, which is arguably the most popular park on the African continent, and that's located in Tanzania.
Wow.
And then we have the island of Zanzibar, which is this tropical island off the coast, and that also attracts a lot of tourism.
Wow, but that's connected, to Tanzania now.
Yeah.
Because it's Zanzibar and I don't want to get it wrong. Tanganyika.
Right,
okay,
Tanganyika.
Connected.
Used to be Tanganyika, and used to be Zanzibar, and they used to be separate.
Okay.
But they used to both be under British rule. But then when Tanganyika got its independence, when Zanzibar got their independence, they decided to merge as one country. And that's how the name Tanzania came to be.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So as far as, I guess, the overall relation with Tanzania to the U.S., how's that, that relationship with the U.S.?
Right. Tanzania has a very good relationship with the United States. No type of it's not a bad relationship. It's never been a bad relationship, not that I know of.
Yeah.
So they're at good standing with each other.
Okay. Now, Julius Nyerere, I'm sure everyone knows that was the first official president for Tanzania.
Right.
Right. As far as what was his direct importance in the country of Tanzania?
Well, he believed in what was called African socialism, and it was called Ujamaa, and he believed that in order for society to grow and prosper, everybody would have to be selfless. There would have to be unity among the different ethnic groups of Tanzania. You have to be Tanzanian first, and then your ethnic group second.
Right.
So because of that, now Tanzania is actually one of those countries in Africa. When you go there, people don't care what ethnic group you are. People, are you Tanzanian, basically?
Wow. Okay.
And that's all that matters. So for example, when I grew up, my friends, I didn't know any of their ethnic groups. All I knew is that they were Tanzanian.
Wow.
And so Tanzania is one of those African countries that got away from that, mindset of, ethnic groups a long time ago.
So that sense of nationalism is kind of strong?
Yeah, nationalism is very strong in Tanzania. Also, sure, when you go to different African countries, you have different languages spoken, depending on what ethnic group you come from. And we have that in Tanzania too, but the national language is Swahili.
Okay.
Kiswahili is the national language. Both my parents come from different ethnic groups. I don't know any of their ethnic languages. All I know is Swahili. So growing up, I spoke just Swahili, and then later on, I learned how to speak English. So, in Tanzania, a person coming from outside of Tanzania they'll most likely hear Swahili first, and then if they go out into the interior, like in rural areas, that's where they'll start hearing other ethnic languages.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. So how do you feel that the U.S. can? What could we do to help to help Tanzania anyway? Do you feel like there's any way that we can, assist or enhance Tanzania anyway if we work together?
Well, the thing with Tanzania is that, and the thing with many African countries also is that there's this image that's been put out of what the African is, basically. Are we civilized enough to be a part of the rest of the world, to be in equal standing with the rest of the world? I think what Western countries could do, including the United States, is to just let us be. Let us be who we are. Do not impose these Western standards on what you think we should act like, just what you think is the norm, because what's the norm in one country is it's not the norm in another country. You see, that's what I did.
Right, definitely.
With all the diversity comes different ideas, different ways of how one sees the world, basically. So I would say just open-mindedness. For example, when you get the opportunity to go to a different country, just flush out everything that you've ever been taught about the world, basically, and come in with a fresh mind, as if you don't know anything about that country. And when you do that, it's easier for you to enjoy the country. It's easier for you to become it helps you grow in terms of how you see the world. Rather than seeing it from an American perspective, or rather than seeing it from a European perspective, you're seeing it from a humane perspective, because we're all human. At the end of the day, we're all related. So just open-mindedness.
Definitely.
What's shown on TV is not necessarily true, or it might be exaggerated. And so don't believe propaganda. When you see propaganda on African people, you don't necessarily have to believe it. Be willing to do the research for yourself.
Definitely.
Rather than just
take it.
Exactly.
Definitely. And just one thing, just going back to the economy. Is it a classist society? Is it like a middle, lower? Is it separated in those ways?
Yeah, I think it's a very classist society. Unfortunately, we have not moved to. Unfortunately, we have not moved past the class thing. So it's one of those things where you might have somebody who's really wealthy, might have great home, great business, just makes a lot of money, and next to that really expensive home is a slum.
Wow.
It's somebody who has nothing, and the problem with the classes, the problem with the classism in Tanzania is that the people in the higher societies, the higher classes, act like it doesn't exist. Or maybe they're too ignorant to see that it exists. And I'm speaking this from experience, actually, because here I'm considered, a middle class person. When I go to Tanzania, I'm considered high class. For a long time, I didn't see the poverty that was so obviously in front of me until I invited one of my friends, until I invited Edmund to come to Tanzania with me. He was able to point out things that, you know, I looked at them and I was like, how could I not see this? So there was obviously ignorance on my part. So I'm just saying, I'm just speaking from experience that, you know, many of us who are considered in the high classes or wealthy or have money, many of us are completely ignorant to the situation around us. Or maybe we may not be ignorant, but we might feel helpless. Like we can't do anything about it. Yeah, classism is a very big issue in Tanzania.
Definitely. All right, well, Julius, we thank you again for just giving us your insight on Tanzania. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
All right, bye.